I left a job because of a toxic manager. Ooh, worked there for 6 months. Now I'm applying for another job. I need to fill the application form that requires the name of the supervisor. What shall I do? Oh gosh, this happens to a lot of people. Okay, so folks, you really haven't lived, you really haven't had a full career until you've taken a job and been blindsided with either a toxic manager or a crazy coworker or a bad business. You know what I'm talking about, right? You get in there and it feels like a big old bait and switch. And it gets so bad that even though you want to hold on, you make the decision to quit. Okay. Now, I can never advise you to quit. We know the challenges that run into that. Okay. One of the challenges is people feel like, well, if you can up a quitting job, then you might up and quit their job. So quitting is never the ideal, folks. Whenever possible, we wait and we get a new job. But if you got to that point in your life and you quit, you're going to have to explain it. You're also going to have to provide the name of the supervisor or the company, and they're likely going to want to do a reference check. So, the rule of thumb here is an old saying: the best defense is a good offense, which means we're going to be proactive. So, the first thing we're going to do when we fill out the application part of it is put down the company and the, person that you worked with, because you need to know that they're not going to call them first. Nobody's going to call that company until much later stages. They have to have an interview with you first. You're going to talk to them first. So please never be worried about, folks, if you have you're filling it out and saying where you worked previously and who was your supervisor. Never worry about that when you're first applying, because they're not calling them right away. You're going to speak to them first and you're going to get a chance to shape the narrative. So just fill it out. Okay. Don't leave it off. Don't hide anything. Fill it out. Okay. You want to be truthful here. Omission is like lying. When it comes to your career, omission is like lying. So please fill out everything accordingly. Okay. Don't need to explain it on the application. Just fill it out. Now, when you get the interview, if you go through the first round interview and you're successful and you're moving into the second round interview, okay, there is a time where you can bring up why you left that job and what they can expect when they call for a reference check. And this is where you really need to do something called the MOA, the moment of accountability. Now, the MOA is not that you say you did anything wrong. It's not it. You didn't do anything wrong. Instead, it's about being very objective about the choices you made in the moment and understanding the pros and cons of that choice and being able to articulate the pros and cons of that choice to the person that's interviewing you. Because if you can't articulate that and you sit there and try to hide it or finesse it, you're suspect and they can tell. So in this situation, they're going to eventually ask, why did you leave your last job? And you're going to use the MOA, the moment of accountability. And you're going to say something like, that's a great question. If you had told me when I took that job that I would end up quitting after 6 months, I would have never believed you. When I took it at the time, I was really excited. I loved the company. I loved the job that I would be doing. Unfortunately, when I got in there, it became apparent that the manager and I did not have the same values and the same mission. And it got increasingly more difficult to work for this manager. And so, as hard of a decision as it was, because I don't like quitting, I've never quit jobs in my life, I had to make the decision to quit because I just couldn't see myself there long term. And the conditions with this manager were just more than I was comfortable dealing with on a day to day basis. And I own that because I know what quitting says. I know that you could be worried that I would quit your job, but I have to tell you what a big decision it was and how much I never want to do it again. And so here's what I've learned going forward. I'm really looking for an environment and I'm really interviewing hard to make sure that it is a match and that the expectations are clear and that the manager and I are on the same page. And that's why I'm really excited about this opportunity with you. Just already speaking to you today, I can tell it's a different environment. And that's really exciting to me because this has been hard and I own it and I can't change it, but I really want to put it behind me. I really want to get back to work and move on. And so I wanted to be transparent with you. And that's just the reality of the story. See how that works? It's balanced, it's honest. Folks, when you try to hide it or you try to lie, you're rolling the dice. And normally they're going to figure it out. Most of the time, you're not a good liar. You think you are, but you're not. But more importantly, at some point in time, they're going to go reference check. And if you don't go on the offensive and say this, and you just try to go, oh, yeah, everything's fine or whatever, when they go to reference check and that person gives you a nasty recommendation, they're going to be blindsided. And that looks like omission, and omission is guilt. So you've got to do the MOA, the moment of accountability. You got to be proactive and land that early so that when they go do that reference and they get them giving a snarky reference on you, they're like, oh, just like they said, I guess the person we're interviewing is correct. We all understand that it's not one-sided, right? We know there are toxic bosses out there. We know there are bad companies out there. We know there are crazy coworkers out there. How you choose to explain it and take ownership of what happened, not saying you did anything wrong, but ownership of it is what it is key. And it can help even more if you say, looking back, here's what I would have done differently. Because when you can learn and grow from the experience, it really matters. Now, I'm going to finally say one more thing here. Folks, how you answer interview questions literally makes or breaks you getting the job. And this is a hard question. So if you aren't being coached on the right way to answer the tough questions, I seriously, seriously, seriously say you need to get help. Whether you work with me and my team at Work It Daily, this is a big part of what we do, helping people get the right verbiage, or someplace else. Please do not sleep on the fact that if you do not answer interview questions right, you will not be considered. And these are hard questions, right? And you got to get it right, or you will not move forward. So please invest the time and energy in working through this and understanding the right things to say, because it will have all the impact on the world. It'll make all the difference in you getting the job. If you come into Work It Daily, you will go right into our wins column. There's a feed inside our platform, and you will see story after story every single day. Every single day, somebody's posting their story in our platform and telling you exactly why this works. Okay. That's our amazing little community. I have a whole little community of job seekers supporting each other, helping each other, sharing hacks with one another. It's amazing. Right. But you're also going to get the courses that teach you what not to do and what to do. So we can 15 minutes a day, you could be watching little video courses and within 1 week know exactly what you need to be doing and speed this process up. You could be supported by really positive people, and you can get coached by me and the team. And you can do that all right now for free. So if you go over and grab a 7-day free trial at Work It Daily, write it down right now. Everybody write it down. Workitdaily.com. We are offering a 7-day free trial. You can go in and learn how to get a job interview. And write it down, because if you're not going to do it today, I guarantee you at some point in time, you're going to realize this is insanity. And you need to learn the right way to do this in order to get it done.